Huh. I don't think that's the music bed that I had in mind, but live from Studio A, welcome to In Wheel Time, your everything automotive award-winning car talk show. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, Don Armstrong here. So glad you could join us. This is our EV car show today, electric vehicles. I've had some issues with the electric vehicles that I got to test drive. Mainly, range anxiety was my biggest problem. And then I had a charging issue. It's probably my issue, but it didn't have an owner's manual to describe anything out of the ordinary of how to charge it. Most of the vehicles that I have had, you just simply plug it in to 110 and bingo, it just happens.
And we were here that morning, and you were stressing out because you kept plugging it and unplugging it, plugging it and unplugging it, checking the yellow light, checking the green light, checking the light in the car, and it never worked.
And it never indicated that it was...
The vehicle was receiving a charge, even though the charger said it was sending a charge.
That's correct. So
then you went down to the Whole Foods for the fast charge, and that didn't work quite well either.
No, because the EV lady that was on the phone with me, because I didn't have a card, you have to have their EV Go card. You can't just have a regular charge card and go over there and say, okay, well, here's my Visa card.
It's a revenue generator, Don. They sell power charging. They don't give it away.
Why not put a credit card? Why not put your Visa in there?
Like you do at the gas pump.
That's a good question.
So it wasn't that. So I had to give her the number off of the card that had to be emailed to me. Oh, yes, we see it here. Okay, very well. I'll plug it in. I'll plug it in for you over here on the computer. And then you have to unplug it, close the doors, lock the car, then plug it back in, and still wouldn't charge.
But I bet you don't have to do that to go drag racing with an electric vehicle.
Well, I wouldn't imagine. And with that in mind, John Metrick, who's president of the National Electric Drag Racing Association, is currently on the line with us. John, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Good to be here. I hope I'm coming through okay. It's my first time on the Zoom.
Well, awesome. you look fabulous, sir. We do appreciate it. So, the National Electric Drag Racing Association, is it kind of like NHRA but electric?
So we a collection of fans in drag racers about 20 years ago started racing their home built cars. Back in the lead acid days.
Yes.
And they formulated some rules, and they wanted to go out to these tracks. And at the back of the day, NHRA had internal combustion engine only rules. So we were out there, and they said, "Hey, we're going to have to deal with this." We had a tech director back in the day that wrote a set of rules, gave them to the NHRA and IHRA, and after several years of negotiation, they adopted those somewhere about 2009, 2010, 11.
Right.
So if you go to the NHRA book now, you can go to the back section out there, and there's an electric vehicle, 7.5 seconds and slower, ET bracket racing rule book.
Now,
Nedra wrote that.
Why is there a time limit on it? 7.5 seconds.
Because ET bracket was a 7.5 second and slower that already existed, and they decided to duplicate that. But up till now, we got a few cars that are going faster than that now, and they don't really know what to do with us right now. So.
But your cars that are going faster is because of the advancement of technology. NHRA is always managing technology advancement in the gasoline-powered vehicles. Are they going to be managing the technology advancement in the electric vehicles? Would you stop messing?
I can't. Well, it is a little problem over here.
Yes,
so.
there is.
Sorry. Okay.
Sitting in the chair. So are they going to allow that advancement in technology? Yeah,
let me sit on your hand.
Are they going to change the rules for you?
Well, so like I said, 20 to 15 years ago, everything was lead acid. There weren't really good, high performance lithium. So when those rules were adopted, I don't think they ever envisioned we'd be doing 7 seconds in the quarter mile or 6 seconds in the quarter mile, which we are now. So
unfortunately,
they're working with us.
Yeah,
they are working with us and trying to make it safe.
You're being politically correct.
So, John, the NEDRA, is that actually part of NHRA or partnered with NHRA to kind of walk that line?
We are a separate organization. We're a nonprofit organization. We sometimes we get what's called alternative sanctioning organization, which is Again, not affiliated, not part of, but we get a special recognition when we hold an event.
Okay.
We can sanction our own event
So
on one of the tracks.
I want to be able to go down to the racetrack over in Baytown, the quarter-mile NHRA track, and I want to see you guys race. When is that going to happen?
Well, there's very few cars in Texas right now, so I could go by myself and go do exhibition runs. We could show you it, do it at a test and tune, or an invite event where they say run what you brung, and we've competed at those several times.
Are these bodied cars? Are they dragsters? Are they funny cars? What are they?
So we have about 400 people in our database who have built cars. We've got about 50 active members all over the world. There are everything from motorcycles to full body cars, rail dragsters, little kit cars that people have built, golf carts. All kinds of,
So, John,
full spectrum.
What kind of cars do you have?
My three. I've built 3 cars so far. I'm building a 4th. The first car I built was a 1984 Pontiac Fiero. I can bring some pictures next time if we have another, session. But it had 2 9-inch motors in it. It made 1,300 foot-pounds of torque. But it was like a diesel. It made only about 600 horsepower peak. So we got that little Pontiac Fiero to 9.8 in the quarter mile at 138 miles an hour.
And you sound like you're embarrassed by that. I think that anybody with a gasoline engine would have all due respect, sir. I mean, I don't know of a factory Corvette that goes that fast.
Yeah, we took the little Fiero out and set a world record in the NEDRA records for first time we went out to the track, I think. So it does like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, because
what else you got,
at
John?
that level, it's all about getting traction, though, too. isn't it?
Yeah, we can lift the tires up on that car if it gives you an idea on the traction.
So do you guys give help to fellow drag people that would like to actually maybe try their hand in having an electric dragster or electric comp car or electric pro stock car, something like that?
Absolutely. We love to see those kind of events. We've got pro stocks, and somebody just did a little a late model Ford. All kinds of little people build things, circuit track, drag racing, land speed. Anybody wants some help, they give us a call.
Well, we had heard that that Don Garlitz is actually working on an electric dragster. Have you heard that?
Don has been working for about 6 years. The Swamp Rat 37 is a full top fuel electric chassis. He got to about 7.2 in the quarter at 180 miles an hour, and he's built Swamp Rat 38, which is a kind of a lightweight, like a super comp dragster. So he's got 2 electric dragsters.
Now, are you familiar with a guy by the name of Eric Hutchinson down at Electric GT?
No, sir.
Yeah, he's out in Hollywood, and he does car conversions, and that was a pretty interesting interview that we had earlier on our show. And then we had a great guy that's down in Florida by the name of Steve Clunn, and he owns Green Shed Conversions, and I think that, are you familiar with him?
I am. Him and Steve and Audrey. Yep.
Very good. So I see that you guys are kind of in some sort of an electric network, so to speak.
Yes. Audrey is our membership director for NEDRA, so it's a small community. You mention a few more names, and they're probably.
So, John, where are you located, John?
I'm located in Houston, Texas.
Oh, you're here locally. Okay, great. Well, since we're all here, we need to have us in a little electric fest. What do you think?
Well, we've taken some guys from CBS, Motor Week, Auto Week, several different things. We'd be happy to have you guys down and take for a ride in that. in a quarter-mile car.
You know, and I certainly appreciate a ride, but I truly am really interested in the technology and see how you guys have handled the suspension, the conversions, what kind of power plants that you've got in them, all of the actual nuts and bolts of it, so to speak, if you will. That's what I would like to see and get tours of, that sort of thing. Do you guys ever have like car meets or get-togethers?
Sure, we have. We can do something for you. Any, an invitational. Like I said, Texas, we're a little bit lean on electric cars down here, but we travel to all over Florida, Maryland, Missouri, Phoenix.
Well, back in my day, John, it was all about cubic inches. So do you go around and say, well, my electric motor is bigger than yours? I mean, how does that exactly work? I'm just saying.
We've dynoed the car. The dyno speaks for itself, but we talk in terms of the inch diameter of the motor. Usually, the larger diameter, the more shaft torque that it can develop. So shaft torque,
kind of like cubic inches.
Yeah. So we heard earlier that the guy down in Florida was talking about a 9-inch motor, and then I assume that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, so 9-inch would be this big round, right? And inside of there's the coil or the magnets,
right?
And that's what develops the amount of torque. A little motor about this big, it's not going to develop much torque. Right. Bigger and bigger. Garlett's uses a 13-inch diameter motor.
What does Tesla use?
You might call that about a 6-inch motor.
Gotcha. Okay, so
it's a core inside of a cooling circuit. So like when you see the motor, it's about 12 inches in diameter, but if you tear apart the cooling system and all that, inside there the cores look really only about that big.
So with drag racing, do you still have to cool the motor like you do in road applications?
When you're down the quarter mile in only 7 seconds, there's very little cooling.
Yeah, you don't have to worry too much.
So that also saves you some weight and just a hassle of setting up a cooling system on it as well.
Sure. Like I always like to say, we have one moving part.
The vehicle.
Just the rotor.
Yeah.
Just the rotor.
So John, you mentioned something about speed. Have you been down to the Texas Mile or any of your organization members?
I've personally been to the Texas Mile, the U.S. Mile, and we still hold some records there. We did a 155 in the Fiero and 165 in the half mile at the Ellington Field in Houston.
Oh, wow.
The US, at the half mile. And I think that was 11th fastest car that day. So
I'm impressed that you got a Fiero to go that fast. I don't care how you're powering it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, here's my thoughts on this, because, NHRA has been popular for the sound, not only for the speed, but the sound that those top fuel dragsters put out. And I'm thinking, maybe since you guys have plenty of battery power, that maybe we could somehow incorporate some great big 16-inch speakers built into the body, some boom boxes built in, and we could have the sound of a top fuel dragster engine coming out where we'd normally have the exhaust and the zoomies.
If you could build the amp, I will power it. Those the loudest car on record, something like 120, 130 decibels, and they do that with 16,000 watts. It's like 8 alternators. 18,000 watts. We make like 1.8 million watts. So we could power. I would love to do that.
Sound like the Saturn V taking off. Well, let me ask a question, because when you show up at the Texas Mile or at Ellington and set these records and go those kinds of speeds in those vehicles, after you do that, how much attention does it attract to your pit area as everybody comes over to check it out?
Yeah, it's a great question. We are always super busy with visitors. I can barely get any work done. Houston Motorsports Park or Baytown, San Antonio, Texas Mile, wherever we go, there's usually a good 5-6 people asking questions, pointing, how can you do that? How can you do that?
How old are those people?
It's funny, the younger crowd, say 30 and under, they just look at it and go like, yep, that's cool. I really want to do this. It's that older crowd that's like looking at it kind of scornfully, like, I can't figure out how to plug the plug in, or something like that. I don't want to. I know. I heard that story earlier.
Pay no attention to my gray hair, sir.
Yes. Well, Don won't have range anxiety a quarter mile at a time.
No.
No, I'm in a sport where we don't have range anxiety. My battery packs are these tiny little things like a lunchbox, and it puts out, say, 1,000 horsepower out of a lunchbox.
So at the end of a run, how drained is your battery? So if you start at 100% at the end of the run, what is your battery usage?
It's a common question, but I'd say about 15%.
Oh, really?
So you get multiple runs off of a charge.
I could go multiple runs, but you are usually trying to be very, very consistent. So you want to leave the line at the same state of charge every single time. So we usually I usually top it off. I can top it off in about 15 minutes.
And your data acquisition from the run is pretty consistent with the data that everybody else is getting with the computers that they put on the gas-powered cars?
We have all that, and we can take motor amps, motor volts, RPM. We can do estimated torque, estimated, ET. I have a little Miata that's I'm very proud of. Does a 1/160-foot time. It's almost like 0 to 60 in 1 second.
Oh my gosh, you're making all the drag racers jealous now.
It's like a go-kart. Well, John, we're out of time. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. President of the National Electric Drag Racing Association right here in Houston, Texas. Let's talk again. Let's stay in touch. Let me know when you got an event coming up. We appreciate it.
Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. More of the In Wheel Time online show, including the Mystery Garage and This Week in Auto History after this quick break.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at In Wheel Time, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for this hour's Mystery Garage. I thought I need to do something different today. Let's talk about decorating the garage. Let's talk about wall art. I got wall art.
You got wall art here, with the license plates, the In Wheel Time poster. You got the coronet.
So the story with the license plate, and that's a good one. That's a good place to start. And by the way, you can get used license plates all over the place. You can get them online. They're cheap. Now, if you want to get into personalized plates, matter of fact, Craig Bierman has a whole collection of personalized plates that he's got hung on the rafters of his garage.
That's got to be a mystery garage you've got to go film, because I imagine Bierman's garage and house would be a fun
It would take
trip.
up a lot of shows, I can tell you that. So anyway, the history behind those license plates, starting with when we moved here way back in the dark ages with the Wisconsin plate up at the top. Those are all of my parents' plates until about, 1970. And that was 1970 would have been my first car up there at the top. And then the rest of them are also my plates.
And then all of the KPRC plates, because you are a member of the Radio Broadcasters Hall of Fame and have your own radio station plate. You're something special, Don.
Let's see, that was 1983, 84 when my daughter was born. So that's how old that stuff is. So do we have to?
Did you just call your daughter old?
I did. It gives you an idea. So anyway, we're talking about wall art here in the Mystery Garage. The Mystery Garage is back here, by the way. So in the Mystery Garage today, we're going to start with this particular photo that's coming up. There it is. So look at the woodwork on there. Do you know what that is?
Shiplap.
No,
I've watched them up in Waco.
It is not. No, it is not. It's not flooring. It's
Shaved
not shiplap.
2x4s.
No, it's pallets.
Oh, really? Okay.
So you take the pallet apart, you denail it, and then you don't do anything with it. You just start nailing the planks up on the wall. Does that not look cool?
Yeah,
It does.
absolutely.
Pallets you can get all, if you do it the right way, you can get them for free.
We've
Yeah,
got we get 40 or 50 of them every 2 weeks.
Right, and you have to hire somebody to come out and take them away.
Well, we pay a guy to come.
Exactly.
Take them
so
from us.
take a pallet home a week, and dismantle it. So it's got, let's see, 4, 5, 10. It's got at least 12 boards on it.
Oh yeah. And actually, ours are kind of brand new, and they tell us they're made from white oak, so it's a pretty good wood. So I can go home and get denailed.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of coming to this show nailed. So let's continue on. So what are you going to put on that wall that you've created from pallets? Well, these kind of mostly are painted signs you can get on the internet for cheap. These happen to be, some of them anyway, porcelain. As you can tell, they're kind of worn down. But you've got all of these kind of things. And I picked this one because it has, Dad can't fix stupid, but he can fix what stupid does. I thought that was pretty cool.
I like that one.
But
yeah.
so these are kind of signs that you can get at any of those places. Flea markets, and you can also get them at Hobby Lobby. You can get them at the home store, different places around town. You can also get some actual fabric
Flags.
banners.
Right.
Like this particular one that is a Mopar. You can get them for free. Go to a car event, say, can I pick your banner at the end of the event? Most places will say, sure, because all we're going to do is throw them in the trash. And here's another example of that. There's a Snap-on high-performance tools. You can go to companies and actually ask them, hey, do you have anything, any kind of signage?
Oh, yeah.
They take up a lot of room. This was, I thought, really cool. So this is the washroom inside of a garage. Look what he's done.
Is that a tire around the mirror?
It's a tire.
It looks like a
motorcycle tire for the mirror above the sink that was put into a Craftsman toolbox. Do you like it? And he used the corrugated tin down on the bottom half of the wall. Threw up a couple of signs up there, and it actually has a...
It's kind of Harley-Davidson colors as well.
Well, whatever it takes. So anyway, it doesn't take much to be creative inside your Mystery Garage. So that was my Mystery Garage segment for today. Time now for this week's Automotive History.
Well, in vein of what we've done all day today, in 1888, Philip Pratt demonstrated the first electric automobile in Boston, and he used 6 electrical accumulators that weighed about 90 pounds to propel his vehicle. So that was this week in automotive news. In 1898, the Scientific American magazine carried the very first automobile magazine ad for Winton Motor Cars out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Winton.
Did I not say? I'm sorry.
You did, Winton. You said it. I just repeated it.
In 1903, the first cross-country auto trip from New York City to San Francisco was completed, and it was done in a Packard, which finished the trip in 52 days. Now, you got to remember, that was before there was any of this interstate highway system, and they were probably riding on a lot of mud roads.
Oh, can you imagine
for
the
52
ruts?
days? Oh, my gosh, that had to
Shake your teeth out.
In 1909, the newly formed General Motors Corporation acquired luxury automaker Cadillac. Cadillac was actually founded out of the ruins of Henry Ford's second automobile company. Ford was his third attempt at an automobile company. Cadillac was his second attempt, and as that company failed, Leland convinced those people to stay in business and created Cadillac out of it. And his idea for the very first Cadillac was actually using some Ford Model A frames. Remember, last week was the first Model A, with an Oldsmobile single-cylinder engine in it. So even back in those days, GM was sharing engines. Ba-dum-chunk. Chrysler Corporation acquired the Dodge brothers for $170 million in 1928. In 1941, Jeep was born this week. Actually, today, on August 1st. And Parade magazine called it the Army's most intriguing new gadget, a tiny truck which can do practically anything. In 1973, Bonnie and Clyde's bullet-ridden 1934 Ford V8 sedan was sold at auction for $175,000 to Peter Simon in Nevada. And then in 2003, the last of 21.5 million Beetles was built as it rolled off the production line in Puebla, Mexico. And the last 3,000 Volkswagen Beetles built were all a baby blue edition, and the very final one was sent to the Wolfsburg, Germany Museum.
Today's automotive news is next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
The Huntington Beach guys would appreciate that.
Yep.
They would. The Hollywood guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got up at noon.
The board meeting.
Time now for this hour's car news. And I wanted to do this story before we left the air today. So let me just get through this because we don't have much time. Fiat Chrysler on Friday posted a second quarter loss of $1.24 billion.
Yikes.
As North American operations contributed a small profit despite lost production due to the COVID-19 pandemic. North American vehicle shipments sank 62%, but the company said that was partially offset by favorable channel and model mix. So the region avoided a loss even as net revenue fell 53% to $9.71 billion. Remember, FCA is global. It's not just the
United States.
Just not the United States and the vehicles that we all know well and love. So keep that in mind. The turbulent second quarter comes as FCA and France's PSA Group move toward a merger to create the fourth largest automaker in the world. Although uncertainty around the pandemic continues to cast a shadow over the industry, FCA has kept a product pumping in the pipeline. Mike Manley, the CEO, confirmed production schedules in 2021 for the upcoming slate of crossovers for Jeep, which has been bolstered by the midsize Gladiator and is getting a more diverse set of powertrain options. Also, the new Jeep three-row crossover will go into production the first quarter of 2021. Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer will start production in the second quarter. The redesigned Grand Cherokee is going to start rolling off the assembly line in the third quarter.
They're going to sell that like hotcakes.
Yeah, they are. He said the Wrangler plug-in will be in the U.S. showrooms by the end of 2020. So they've got a lot going on and a lot to look forward to, and it's all good news, really, because they haven't lost near as much money as so many of the other automakers have.
GTG.
Sorry. Let me do that again because I was trying to do too many things at once here, and I didn't turn off one of the things that I needed to turn off.
Stop chewing gum too.
I don't chew gum.
Okay,
so
well, for a reason.
Yeah, for a
it
darn
hinders
good
your
reason.
walking.
I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. You should know that. But at any rate, so we're going to say goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
And have a pleasant tomorrow. And
now the music doesn't work.
oh my God. Trying to do too many things. That's it for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is fabulous David Ainsley, our video and marketing maven, is Man About Town, Jeffrey Zekin. The In Wheel Time Car Show is produced, written, and directed by me. For booking agent and podcast manager Mike Out of This World Mars and his royalty, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now. We hope you join us live every Saturday, 10 to noon, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Have a good week.